Welcome to This Week in Habsland. I am Jordan and he is Brian, and we are coming to you after the Canadiens pull it off. They win Game 7 against the Tampa Bay Lightning 2-1. Alex Newhook, Jakob Dobes playing the heroes. Brian, I want to start with this. It was a huge Sunday night, and everyone was wondering, how was your first softball game of the year?
Good, we won.
Okay, so more importantly, I was just doing the math before we started. 98.7% of the game time in this series was spent with the game tied or with a team leading by a single goal. 5 minutes and 37 seconds of the second period of Game 4 was a multi-goal lead. That is it. This must be the closest series anyone has ever seen. Everything, one goal, 4 overtimes, nail biters across the board. Ironically, Brian, not the Canadiens' best game of the series. So I'm going to open it up to you. We can start with the captain, or we can start with the keeper. Who do you want to talk about first?
Let's go captain, Nick.
Okay.
The difference between 0 goals and 1 goal after getting shut out by Vasilevsky was massive. That is the difference in terms of the team not just thinking that he's a god. You remember back to the Price era when teams would be so afraid of Carey Price, especially after a shutout or two, and just be holding the sticks real tight and not knowing what the hell to do. Nick Suzuki made sure that the team did not get into that zone with a funky tip and a funky bounce. And then Alex Newhook's goal was a funky bounce. You know what? I won't even call it a funky bounce. That was a beautiful hand-eye coordination backhand on his part. But it took weirdness to beat Vasilevsky, and thank God that they did. We're going to get into the Newhook stuff, but on Nick Suzuki, there was also a massive shot block right at the end of the game. And that single play to me is so emblematic of what Suzuki did all series, which was be phenomenal everywhere on the ice. When his line mates were not playing well, Nick was playing well. When the rest of the team was struggling defensively, he was getting down and blocking shots and getting into passing lanes and breaking shit up. Nick Suzuki was as advertised or better, and I could not be happier with our captain.
He was building up to this the second half of the series. Games 1, 2, there's a real struggle going on. Game 3, it starts to flip a little bit. 4, 5, and 6, I thought he was in the running for certainly their best forward, and slowly becoming neck and neck with Lane Hutson for their best skater and likely best player. Once again today, like most of my notes on Suzuki more recently are just how physical he's been. And this is like the same way we kind of see Nick throughout the year be a little slow out of the gate intentionally, pace himself. Nick, like he's found the other gear Suzuki has. Like there's one moment early in the second period where Noah Dobson, which we'll get to, and I really hope he didn't hurt that hand too badly there in the third period. There's a moment where Dobson really, I think it's the opening shift in the second period, where Dobson tries to lay the body on a Tampa Bay forward to remove man from puck, is unsuccessful. Nick is there a quarter of a second later and finishes the check, basically for Dobson on his behalf. And I think a lot of my stuff there is just most of my notes on him are like strong on the forecheck, throws his body around, strong on the forecheck, throws his body around, stick deflection, great on the back check, the big block there right at the end within the dying seconds. And I'm looking it up here. I'm sure you found it as well. How many hits he had today? He had 3 hits again.
Yep.
And he had 3 more blocks. And this is not something that was overly present throughout the regular season, because you can't do that. It's not, if Nick Suzuki can be this level of like 4 quadrants player all season long, he is an MVP. He is tier 1 of the 3 or 4 best players in the world, but he can't do that, right? In the same way we don't see Nick on the penalty kill during the season, right? It's Marty as well, kind of understanding you got to pace out Suzuki. You don't need to pace him out in the playoffs. He's been playing 22, 23 minutes a night. He gets the goal. I want to speak about the goal because one thing that has been kind of hit or miss is Caden Gooley deciding when he can pinch in the offensive zone. And I think he's had some poor choices in this, just generally, but certainly in this series. I know we always think about the Matheson pinches because they're awful.
Yeah.
Or at least they end up becoming the most destructive, I should say. Not necessarily Mike Matheson's fault. Gooley on that play, on the Suzuki goal, elects to not pinch. There's a moment there where he takes 1 or 2 he skates, like it takes 1 or 2 paces forward, And then he backs off and he says, okay, this isn't the right moment to do that yet, not to put the team in danger. The puck finds its way to him. He puts it on net. Suzuki has another deflection goal. Nick Suzuki's 2 biggest goals of the season, the tying goal in the quarterfinal against Czechia, and now the opening goal of games. What do they have in common, Brian? They're deflections.
Deflections. Yeah, very true.
For such a talented player that like a lot of things didn't go well in this series for those guys offensively. Although I will say, coming into this game, there were, along with Oliver Kapanen, the big four were not on the ice for any 5-on-5 goals for in this game, in this series, coming into game 7. Nick Suzuki walks out a +2. Cole Caulfield's a +1. Yuri Slafkovsky's a +1. Demidov got a lot of time today. I didn't notice him that much, but so he ends the series without being on the ice for a 5-on-5 goal for, but that doesn't matter. The point is, a lot wasn't working exactly how you would have hoped for Nick Suzuki. However, the series ends with him being one of the most physical forwards on the team after Josh Anderson, of course, with him being one of the most effective defensive forwards on the team, in line with Jake Evans and Phil Deneau, and we'll certainly get Alex Newhook. And offensively, he still picks up 6 points. He has a goal and 5 assists. He has this huge goal here. And I'm just really happy. It all like, he was mostly good in the faceoff circle today, 6 for 6 and 7. Tremendous stuff from your captain. Something you want to see in these absolutely Goliath-sized tests is, what do you do, man? What do you do when that gets really coming down to it at the end? He has the huge goal. He has big hits. He has a mega block there right at the end. Everything you want from your captain and your leader.
Of course. We are so beyond lucky to have Nick Suzuki in the position that we have him.
Yeah. So
it's astoundingly good. Let's get into the other incredible player who's been incredible all series, continued his incredible play. We said that he was overshadowed by Vasilevsky in game 6 because one goal happened to go in. Whereas tonight, once again, he was phenomenal. Jakub Dobes only letting in the one goal for Tampa Bay and shutting the door on, once again, tons of fruitful opportunities. I mean, it's hard to tell really which team had more opportunities, more shots on net. So, you know, I think he played pretty well. This is obviously tongue in cheek. The Lightning just demolished the Canadiens in terms of opportunities. And thank good, Dobes was a hell of a lot better than Vasilevsky tonight. And I know both goals on Vasilevsky were goofy, but people are only going to remember the results. And thank God for that, because Jakub Dobes was phenomenal. And he was interviewed right after the game ended. Basically, the very first words out of his mouth are "on to Buffalo." Who gives a shit about what we just did? I can't wait for round 2. That was what he said.
And Alex Newhook said something similar on TV as well. He was, big goal. This is great.
Yeah.
Time to start thinking about Buffalo. So we're going to enjoy it. We're going to party it up. They're on to Buffalo. And we'll get on to Buffalo for like 3 minutes at the end of this.
Sure.
But that series
we'll do a better preview moving like in the future. Maybe after game 1, we'll do a sort of like, that was game 1. And also this is the rest of the series, just because we haven't really had time to prepare a full preview, nor do you want to start thinking about round 2 prior to the team winning.
Exactly. It's just so for the listener, Brian and I have we don't really have time to do a preview given our day-to-day. Habs play Wednesday night. That's the next time you'll hear from us. We'll kind of merge and we'll have a game. So I will ask Brian though for your series prediction at the end of this episode, which I know is going to be raw, and you're allowed to change it. And I'll have a text to confirm it for people if as long as it comes in before 7 p.m. on Wednesday or whatever. But I will ask her.
Like they care enough. Here's the proof.
I care.
Yeah, I know you do.
So Dobes, this is what I saw. His most composed game of the playoffs by far. Tons of puck freezes. There was less chippiness, but he was not really engaging in any of it. There was a couple moments where after he freezes the puck, he puts his blocker up high with the stick, basically saying, "Don't come in my cage." But that was it. And he kind of backed off. It wasn't, again, like some people may, and maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, but maybe it's just after seeing 10 years of Carey Price. I know what a goalie stealing a game looks like. This wasn't that really. It's like the game 6 with Vasilevsky. I don't think Vasilevsky stole it, and nor do I think Dobes stole game 5. It doesn't mean the goalie wasn't the best player on these teams in games 5, 6, and 7.
Right.
right? There's a gap, right, between like, hey, he was the first star versus, yeah, this is Carey Price game 6 against Ottawa in 20, I think that's 2014 or 2015, where
The
it's
1-0
like, no, this,
shutout there.
yeah, like a 41
Yeah.
saves, your
Yeah.
team is just annihilated. The expected goals in this game are, I just want to pull it up quickly, 2.31 to 0.96. So he gives up a
Now-
goal. So he has 1.31 goals saved above expected, which is a pretty darn good game, but not like,
Right.
not like the last game. He had a higher goals saved above expected last game. I think he was about 2 or 3. So
That's unsurprising to me.
Yeah.
That despite the Lightning shooting the Canadiens like crazy tonight, the high danger scoring chances against the Canadiens were less than in Game 6. So I still think Game 6 was likely Dobes's best performance. I know we'll look at Game 2, that loss. Despite that, he was phenomenal. I think my vote would be Game 6, just because it's a bigger game late in the series. Still don't win, but like phenomenal game. And then he finally gets the win tonight, and he was just really, really solid.
he was huge saves on Hagel there at the end. Gonsalves
Yeah.
was so dangerous today. And it didn't matter. A lot of just glove save, stop, glove save, stop, glove save, stop. And it was just very composed, very much like not the like, and part of this, like I thought the Habs played a good defensive game. I know like the getting the puck out of the zone is still a bit of an odyssey.
Yeah.
Every now and then I do think Noah Dobson helped it to an extent, not as much as I would have liked. But nonetheless, I thought the forwards were really coming back in to help out and support the defenseman today. And I think that like whatever, like that could have been better. However, like, yeah, he was their best player, and it was just, it's a Game 7 performance from a rookie, a quasi rookie. I've heard people kind of question his whether he is a rookie or not, because he is a bit older. But nonetheless, like this is a guy who started last season as a tandem in the AHL. He wasn't exactly the starter. He had a rough start in the AHL, if we remember. Slowly picks it up. The Caden Primo stuff happens, and it's like, no, we can't do this anymore. Jakob Dobes is up. Dobes plays a ton last year. He comes in for Monty after Monty gets hurt in Game 3, gets the W in Game 3, is all right in Games 4 and 5.
Yep.
And then this year we kind of start backwards, like 1B to Monty, and he just keeps playing really good hockey. And something you and I haven't done yet, although we've had to start thinking about it, is like our end of season awards, our Habsland MVP and all that. And we like to do it at the end of the full season because we want to account for playoffs.
Right.
And the longer this has gone on, the harder it's been to try to keep Jakob Dobes out of my top 4. And I think at this point he's fully broken into it. I won't get much further in than that, but like the run that this guy has gone on since the Olympics, probably even before that, but let's just say since the Olympics, this team is completely different if he doesn't find this groove and is playing this great hockey. He beat Andrei Vasilevsky in a 7-game series.
Yes.
Unreal.
He did. Unbelievable. And I know you're being a little bit coy and not wanting to give away your others, but there's 2 obvious ones that I'm going to mention because these were the biggest players of this entire series. We've talked about one already, Nick Suzuki. We've talked about Jakob Dobes. The third is Lane Hutson.
Yeah.
Those are, for both of us, going to be in our top, 3, 4, 5, whatever it ends up being for the MVP. But for this series specifically, to have somebody who is playing that well at all 3 positions is a blessing.
Yes.
It's a blessing. We weren't top heavy where the first line was doing everything like in the regular season series against Tampa, where they had, I think, 15 points and the rest of the team had 12 and just completely dominant. It was not that. This was a great balance between those 3 guys, a bit of a chasm, and then some lesser players who played way above their heads. And I know that we're going to get into those as well. But before we do you want to touch on the Alex Newhook bat out of midair, the biggest goal for the Montreal Canadiens since 2021?
It's interesting who gets the goals sometimes. It's interesting how destiny works out. And this is a guy who I don't think I've seen a player who Canadiens fans have flipped on more in the past 18 months, myself included, than Alex Newhook. Because a lot of people make up their minds. It's not that there's not, and divisive makes it sound like negative. I don't mean negative, but like Josh Anderson was divisive for a while.
Yeah.
There was like, hey, he's not top 6. Oh, he should be, whatever. And now it's like, okay, cool. We like Josh Anderson. And then you have other guys like Caden Gooley's kind of entering this, but Mike Matheson's a great one.
Sure.
of like
Doc, I would put in there too. Kirby Doc.
Doc's a great one too.
Anybody who gets injured a bunch of times is going to be in there. As soon as they're hurt, you're like, he's washed.
And Newhook has these stretches. It's usually been at the end of the season where you're like, oh damn, what are we doing here? What do we got? We got a strong, third line center. We got a sneaky fast second line winger. What are we doing here? He starts the season on this line with Kapanen and Demidov. They find it in that preseason game, and it's like, yes, that's the second line. He starts the season on fire, gets hurt. It really sucks. And then he makes its way back. And the whole time, I've always been kind of in and out on Alex Newhook. But what's the goal, man? The goal is they threw a puck on the net and weird things happen. Like, this was clearly Tampa's game plan. They got more and more selective, but don't tell me Tampa had the greatest chances today.
They didn't.
Like they had a lot of like shots from, I don't know, 25 to 40 feet out that were decently clean looks, but also that means it's a clean look for Jakob Dobes. So you just chuck things on net eventually, and that's what happens. And Alex Newhook has learned, I go to the net. Nick Suzuki's not too far away either. He's also more or less in front of the net at that point. And then hand-eye coordination is just amazing. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good job, Alex Newhook. You have a Game 7 third period goal that wins a series. Never take that away from him.
No, never. And it's the goal of the season and the goal for the past 5 years at this moment. Yeah. Now, obviously, we hope for the actual candidate to be in the second or third or maybe even in the Stanley Cup final. But for the time being, we will gladly take this beautiful goal from Alex Newhook as the goal of the year so far, and banked off of Vazzy's back, and you could see on his face he was not happy. He doesn't show emotion at all. Basically, he's very sort of robotic in his crease there, but you could tell he was a little bit livid there. That was the one that did it.
The two biggest goals of the series for the Canadiens are the Texier goal in Game 5 and this Newhook goal. And neither of those are a good look on Vazzy. Like, he was...
No, I would argue that this one for Newhook, as good a goalie as you can be, sometimes someone's going to bank something off of your back out of the air, and you're just like, well, shit, he's just too good, I guess.
Yeah. And now that the series is over...
Texier one is not like that, though. The Texier one was, from his perspective, that was bad. Yeah. That was bad. He wanted that back, of course.
Yeah. And now, like, that the series is over, I don't think I've shied away from this. I really like Andrei Vasilevsky. He is
as
really
a goaltender, he's phenomenal.
Cool goalie to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was not going to say that explicitly. You were trying to talk at one point about how much you like Gonsalves, and I was like, we're not having. We can have that brief moment. You want to do the brief okay, Tampa? Okay.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So Gonsalves, Dominic James, I want you. I want him in my bottom six. Seriously.
Okay. Thank you for the clarity.
No, I don't. Not in that way.
Nikki.
Yeah, no. Well, maybe he was pretty good. He was pretty good in this series. But anyway, like in terms of guys playing above their head, Dominic James, a guy who I really did not know from a hole in the wall prior to this series, jumped off the page. Vassy's obvious. Hagel was okay. And we talked about this prior to recording because it was still fresh in our minds. Slavkovsky trying to do too much with an empty net, and Hagel diving to make the save. And I look at the clock and there's 30 seconds left. And as it occurred to you, it occurred to me, hey, remember that regular season game with Oilers and Dallas, I think it was? Whoever it was messed up on the open net, slipped, couldn't put the puck in the net. Puck comes the other way. Goal goes in. Overtime, they lose the game. And I just got terrified. So Hagel, that was phenomenal. Hagel was a complete Habs killer in this series. More so at the start, but all throughout he was dangerous. So those are sort of my, like, good for you. You guys were pretty sick, Tampa Bay players.
Yeah. Vasilevsky I've spoken about. I don't know how you watch Anthony Cirelli and not think he's amazing at what he does.
Yeah.
I will say, like, credit to Suzuki. Cirelli walked out of the series, I believe, with just 2 points. Like, it's a two-way street, man. And I know they were on the ice for a lot of goals, but that was quite good. And then the only other, I mean, Hagel was getting to the Matthew Tkachuk zone where it's like, oh, I hate you just enough to know that I would love you if you were on my team.
Of course.
And the only other guy I would just say would be I really like JJ Moser's game.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. There's some stuff there. I was like, I'd take that on my team. Yeah. But that's, and Gonsalves in case, like, that one too, obviously. He was so good.
He doesn't need to be said. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Phenomenal. That's it. That's the Tampa stuff.
Oh, that feels so good. On it, like that is so cathartic.
Anything you want to say about John Cooper or Nikita Kucherov?
Have fun on the golf course, bitches.
There you go. Enough said.
Especially Cooch. Cooch. My friend Matt at the softball game today called him Dusharov, and perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect name.
Yeah, I think that's pretty apt.
Pretty spot on.
Yeah.
In terms of John Cooper, he coached a good series. Matchup wise, strategy wise, I think he was fine. He was good. The Habs got away with one tonight, and I don't think he was bad. I dislike him, but
so Nikita Kucherov took 6 penalties in 7 games. He has 2 goals in the playoffs over his last 23 playoff games, all of which are the first round and out for that. John Cooper, when he was getting off the ice in game 6, he looked at the Habs fans and he put up 1. He said just 1 more. And I'm happy to clarify for anyone that was confused. He meant, don't worry, we're going to lose 1 more game.
Right.
Think, I'm just trying to help Coops out. That's all, I think Team Canada's coach, and I enjoy the golf course. Yeah, that's it. We can move on from them. Okay. Anything else about the game, the players, the series as a whole now that it's over? Like, oh, actually, sorry, not to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Incredible irony here. Juraj Slafkovsky breaks his stick on like a decent, like they have a decent offensive zone going. He breaks his stick, 3 minutes left in the game?
Oh
2
my
minutes left in the
God,
game?
yes.
And then what happens? I think it's Mike Matheson tries to ice a puck for the 48th time. And the puck finds Slavs. Finally, a broken stick.
Helps the Canadiens.
Helps the Habs. That was hilarious.
I'm so happy you pointed that out, because that was a horrific danger all series, was the stick breaks. Oh,
the stick breaks and the icings. So that was true. both happening at the same time. I feel like 80% of Tampa's chances were stick breaks, icings, and power plays. That was.
Do you think the linesman, so right after it happens, the linesman skates over, picks up half of it. The other half was too far in the zone. Do you think a thought occurred to him like, I should have picked that up prior? Oh shit, I just impacted this game.
Well, they already impacted the game, but we don't have to talk about that.
Yep, does not matter anymore.
No. So who else? Who else you want to talk about? What do you think of? We can go Dobson. We can go Slafkovsky. Just kind of rapid fire on the rest of the guys.
Dobson used the clapper today. I was not expecting that. His wrist shot looked strong. He blocked a shot near the end that scared me because it was right off the hand. But good game from Dobson. Like I said on the last pod, I was not expecting normal Noah Dobson. You can't. He's been out a while. He's rusty. Nothing prepares you for jumping right into a game 7, especially against a team like that. And the hand's probably also still hurting him. So he was not going to be at his best. But I thought he's for what I was expecting, I thought he was totally fine. And I'm excited to see, after 3 more days of rest, maybe some more injections and numbing cream or whatever they're using on him against Buffalo. I think he comes back even stronger. So that'll be great. What did you think of Dobson's first game back?
Exactly what I would have hoped for. 18 and a half minutes. Jack-Eye was interestingly the guy who came out of the lineup. I kind of understand why, given how much Struble has played with Lane Hutson. Although Jaden Struble played 5 minutes, he had 6 shifts in tonight's game.
Yeah,
so really was a non-factor. It's just, you see where the blemishes are on this team right now. We know ironically second line center, considering Alex Newhook as the winning goal, but the bottom end of the defense, again, shout out to Alex Carrier. What a series from this guy.
Absolutely. Yep.
Consider me, I was absolutely doubting it, and he played his heart out in this game and in this series. He's there to close it at the end. I would presume a healthy Dobson would have been out there to close, and also I'm sure you noticed, I'm sure everybody else noticed this. The closing lineup, one small adjustment was made. Evans was in for Slafkovsky in the final 20 something seconds. I know Slav was out there a little bit earlier. 3 centers, I thought was St. Louis was like, whatever, man, kick out whoever you want. I got 2 other guys ready to go.
Kick out whoever you want. And also, these just happen to be my 3 best defensive guys. Yeah. So good luck getting through them.
Phil Deneau, 15 and 10 in the face-off circle today. Jake Evans, 8 and 6. So you had the right guys out there.
Yeah.
It's unreal. Look, so the series is over. Let's take a bit of a zoom out to take a quick look at the series, and then we can spend a few minutes on the team, and then we can do a quick look at Buffalo. How about that?
That sounds good to me, buddy.
Okay, the series. They win the series in 7. I said Lightning in 7, you said Lightning in 6. It ends up being Habs in 7. Look, everyone thought this was going the distance for a while. What did we learn about this team? Like we already said, like their 3 best players are likely 1 forward, 1 defenseman, and 1 goaltender. Great performances from the vets. Like, oh, by the way, first time in the second round, Mike Matheson. First time in the second round, Alex Carrier. So really cool to have them out on the ice there to help close out. Obviously, like Dobes as well, but like Suzuki's been to a cup final. Basically,
Right.
as far as I can tell, everyone else who's not like who didn't just make their debut with like Gooley and Slav and Hutson, like those guys. But everybody else, I think those are the 2 who are 2 of the older guys on the team, by the way, Mike Matheson and Alex Carrier. Jake Evans going to get a proper second round for the first time in his career. Mark Scheifele's not going to come around the corner. I hope not. So yeah, like overall thoughts about the series. Now that we've seen all 7, the story of these 7 games is complete. Well, like what is, what's one thing you're gonna grab onto for at least the next day or 2?
This is a brutally hard question because my opinion has changed drastically since a game 7 where the Canadiens' second period was the worst I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I don't know. I like, just because it's on my mind, I want to jump to something quickly. I don't think I've ever seen this in my entire life. The expected goals for the Montreal Canadiens was 0.01 in the second period, which means that if they play 100 periods that way, they would score 1 goal. And I think that's generous. I don't think they scored that goal. So like the consistency of competitiveness was sort of where I was leaning after game 6 into game 7 and thinking like it's been so close all season or all series, I should say. And yes, at various small points, the Canadiens look like a worse team than the Lightning, but they were never truly dominated. And then the second period happened in this game, and that completely flipped that opinion on its head for me, because when the stakes were highest and the Canadiens were at a disadvantage on the road in the second period, which was already Tampa's like bread and butter this series, if I would not be surprised if we only looked at first and third periods, the Canadiens destroyed Tampa in most categories. So like it's really hard to look at the consistency and be content with it, especially because offensively they weren't consistent at all. Like they got away with one tonight. I'll say it again. I think they really, really did. I'll jump to another stat that's absolutely astounding. The Montreal Canadiens tonight took the fewest shots of all time in a playoff game where the team who took that few shots won. No team has ever won a playoff game having taken 9 shots or less. The next closest is 10. The Oilers, the Devils, and the Blackhawks did that in 2024, 1990, 1974. It's all over the place. But like this was the lowest amount of shots for a winning team in a playoff game ever. So, and maybe I'm driving at a sort of preview thing, and I know I'm muddling all the last few things we want to talk about together because my mind's a mess, but they need to come out of the gates in Buffalo and not look like they did in the second period, or that's going to be a quick, not fun series for the Canadiens. So I don't know. I like the bottom 6. Here's what it is. All right. Thanks for bearing with me for 2.5 minutes. Here it is. I just figured it out. I got to it.
Yeah.
We went into this series thinking that the Canadiens' greatest weakness was their bottom 6. Who ended up saving their ass countless times in this series? The bottom 6.
Yep.
You could argue that pound for pound in terms of what's expected and what the results were, the bottom 6 was far better than the top 6. So that to me is the takeaway of this series.
Yeah. I mean, you can't disagree with it when you have Kirby Dach with 2 goals, Josh Anderson 2 goals, Bolduc, Gallagher, Texier, all getting in on the scorecard. Texier has the 2. I think that's part of it. For me, the 2 things I saw was, so look, the second period thing, the Habs' 2 worst periods of the series were the overtime in game 2 and second period of game 7. What do they have in common? You kind of already hinted at it. Long change on the road. That annihilated them. You take out those 2 periods, I wonder how much the advanced stats and just the possession stats flip. Although I will say TVA flashed with about, 9 or 10 minutes left in the game. Let me see if I can find my notes here. With 12 minutes left in the game, TVA, it's so hard to like, and I will go in the off season onto a tangent about shot attempts and the how I'm starting to lose faith in the expected goal models. But one of the ways to kind of figure out possession is just the time how long teams are in the offensive zone versus the defensive zone, right? It's pretty obvious. It was 10 minutes to 9 minutes with 12 minutes left in the third period. So despite the fact that the shots were like 23-5, Offensive zone time was 10 minutes Tampa Bay, 9 minutes Montreal. So I'm just throwing that out there. Yes, the second
Sure.
period was bad. Terrible
Yeah.
period. Awful period. It's their worst period of the series. And they lost the period. They went down 1-0. I thought they were more or less fine in the first and third. Tampa turns it up in the last 7-8 minutes once the new hook goal goes in. For me, it was they were not bullied in this series the way they were bullied against Washington. Now, different team compositions. Washington was way bigger. Tampa's not. And Tampa still tried to do it. Games 1 and 2 feel like 13 years ago, but that was a team that really tried to like get in the Habs' head. And I'm happy to have discussions, not today because we're both getting tired, but like about how much Slavkovsky was affected by what happened in game 2 and game 3 and game 4. Now, I will say Slav, yeah, he has the screw up there at the end, although Hagel plays it really nicely. I thought Slav had a decent game today. He was one of the more recognizable guys, specifically one of the few guys confident enough for controlled zone entries. Whereas you saw a lot of Cole Caulfield just dump and chase because I don't know what was going on there, but like,
Yeah.
So credit to Slav on that. So that was number one thing that I noticed. Like that's a learning thing. Second was, man, defensively, they were really good in this series. And it's not just Jakob Dobes saving their bacon. I thought genuinely they were really good. They kind of figured it out in the last regular season game against Tampa, where they just kind of like kept Tampa to the outside, forced them to take shots from distance, get in front, block a bunch of shots. They didn't block too many today. I think I'm seeing 13 block shots, which is, it's fine. And they got the big ones there at the end. So that was the two things. Like defensively, this team kind of learned how to win in the postseason, and they didn't get kind of tossed around the way they certainly did against Washington, and it absolutely did not affect them. Tampa tried for a period to bully Lane Hutson, and he just was like, you can go now, and kind of just, they played hockey against him from that point onwards. Corey Perry tried stuff the whole series. It didn't get anywhere. So for me, that was one of the like, beyond like Suzuki continuing to trend upwards, beyond Hutson and Dobes being super consistent the whole way through from a team perspective, and it was led by the bottom six. So that comes back to your point.
Yeah.
Where it is Anderson, it is Doc, it is Bolzuk, and those guys just saying, this is how we're going to play now. And the top six, and again, the second line's it's returned to being an odyssey, but the top six being like, okay, cool, that's how we can do it. And we saw Nick elevate physically in a way I haven't seen him ever. And now it'd be nice to see it more consistently out of Slav and to see something along those lines from Cole Caulfield, although Cole Caulfield, like 14 and a half minutes a day, he was starting to rip some shots, which was the most important thing, but he finishes the series with just one goal, nothing at 5-on-5. He needs to be able to produce. And maybe the next series will be more convenient for that because you're not facing another. I'm telling you, there's no Anthony Cirelli's left. Nico Hischier is not in the playoffs.
No, they don't exist. Well,
Sasha
we have
Barkov's
one.
gone. Oh yeah,
We've got
sure.
one.
We got one. But like,
we've got a few, but yeah, they don't exist elsewhere.
So that won't happen in the Buffalo series. But it's something to just kind of keep track of.
Yeah. What impressed me about Cole Caulfield's game tonight was actually the physicality. If you look at the box score, and I would not have guessed this, but just looking at it now, he had the most hits of any Montreal Canadian with 5.
Did he?
Isn't that perplexing?
Wow.
Unless this particular box score messed it up, but like looking back, I do remember a handful of times where he went up against the guy way bigger and was like, "Screw you, man! I'm hitting you. I can't put the puck in the net, but I can hit you."
I can confirm this on just NHL.com agrees. 5 hits from Cole Caulfield. Good for him.
And on the hits thing, just showing the maturity of the team, recognizing how important the physicality is. Game 1, they get out hit by 2. They do not get out hit in a single other game of this series, and in several of them, they almost double the Lightning. That's that tremendous growth from last year to this year. And yes, you said it. The disclaimer of Washington was a heavier hitting team. That was their bread and butter. Regardless of that, the Canadiens coming in and out hitting Tampa the way that they did several times in the series by a huge margin was massive. Absolutely massive.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do a small big picture before we shift to Buffalo. Look, this is an amazing day. They've won a playoff series. We've talked about it in the past. I know I've brought it up. The way I like to gauge a successful team is how many years has it been since you've won a playoff round, or how many consecutive years have you won a playoff round? Maybe with hockey, I have to be a bit looser with that because hockey has a lot of randomness. So maybe it's like, how many playoff rounds have you won in the past 3 seasons? Maybe that's a more accurate representation. I mean, only 8 teams can win. There's only 13 playoff rounds or 15 playoff rounds that can be won in a year. So that's 45 total to go around. Canadiens have won a playoff round. This is success. This is what success looks like. For this team to win a playoff round at this point in the development, I told this to you, Brian, I think after game 5. I was worried to say it out loud until after the series was over. I firmly believe that there would have been more pressure, not necessarily expectations, but more pressure on this team next season if they had lost this round versus if they had won this round. One may think that is counterintuitive, that, hey, they've won a round now, we are now expecting conference finals next year or whatever. I actually think you have to come if you're looking at it from another perspective, it's like, no, the expectation would be, sure, okay, whatever, higher expectations, but like in terms of pressure, which is what kills teams from the inside. I know we make a lot of Leafs jokes on this podcast, mostly because it's easy to do, but also, did you see Mitch Marner in game 6? Anyways, no.
Yeah, he looked pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah, I'll just say. So
never seen him play like that.
But it's because that team got destroyed from within because of the pressure.
Sure.
They don't have the right guys, but that's what killed that team. Yeah. So, and I was telling you before we started, like very few of the young teams that like go far or become mini dynasties or whatever don't win a playoff round in their first 2 years. Pittsburgh goes to the final in their second year in the playoffs. The Colorado Avalanche go to the second round in the second year, and I think they go to the second round 3 straight years before winning the cup. I believe the Blackhawks in their first playoff year, they go to a conference final. The one exception is the Kings. They're out in the first round in the first 2 years, and then they win the cup. So like they just supercharge it. But for the most part, you kind of need to show something early that there's something special. We're more than just, and again, not necessarily shots fired, but we're more than just a team like the Ottawa Senators that squeaks in 2 years in a row, only to get blasted in both years, right? You have to show a little bit more. And yes, losing in 7 for some people might have been progress. I would have probably fought that notion, even though certainly it is. Like the Habs 2026 versus the Habs 2025, day and night, man, they are so much better. But to actually have a playoff round victory, to say, hey man, we made the second round. We have now won, as a unit that is led by Nick Suzuki and Lane Hutson and Mike Matheson and Cole Caulfield and Juraj Slafkovsky and Jakob Dobes and on, have won a playoff round together. That gives them a lot of confidence. It takes pressure off their backs. Again, expectations are going to go up now, but it's a different thing. Like there's a reason I think part of it's chicken and egg, and I'll stop here. But are these young teams that win cups just that good that they won a playoff round, they're going to win more playoff rounds? Or is it the other way around where it's like they took the pressure off of themselves early on, and that bought them more time to grow and gave them more confidence? And it's like, oh, damn, we can do that. Okay, let's go. Colorado is the one that I look at the closest, where it's like second round, boom, cup. But there's some success. You know what I mean? Like they have they win just enough legitimately. It's not like, hey, we win the President's Trophy and get bounced in 6 in the first round, right? It's actual success they had that buys you that time, that doesn't erode trust within the organization, outside the organization. And they've got that. They've been able to stretch that accordion a bit more and have that time. So I know I just went on a monologue, but that's what I've been pondering for the past 4 months. There's a reason I've been telling us, Brian, hey, winning a round might be low key really important this season. And why I thought the Atlantic was it was open and then it became the bloodbath, but it's amazing they've done it, because I really do think in the grand scheme of things, this is I think this is the end of the second chapter of the story, right? The first chapter is making the playoffs last year. I'm hey, they did it. Good job, guys.
Right.
And the second chapter is, hey, they've won a playoff round. So what do you say to that?
I think that's really spot on. I have a bunch of thoughts simultaneously. I'll go to the one that's the most exciting, which is that winning, and you've said this before, and I know this is premature because we're far from this, but winning a playoff round also shows free agents and trade targets that you have a team that can do it. And despite the fact that they are the youngest team in the playoffs, second youngest in the league, they did it. They got through round 1.
Yeah.
And jury's out. They could go further. They could get through Buffalo and so on. Well, obviously, we're hoping for that, but we don't know yet. But just this one round, I think, shows those potential trade targets, free agents, this is the real deal. The other thing that flashed to me, which is pretty fun, is the Habs are not the only one. There's 4 of those teams that, wow, this is new for them, and they're in. Look at Philadelphia. Young team, new core. I know they got still a bunch of the old guard in there because it wasn't a sort of full, I guess you'd call it a full rebuild. They got a few guys. Anaheim, that's a really young, exciting team that got in. Buffalo, what does this say about Buffalo? They finally get in and they go far. So a bunch of young teams with some high potential here. Who knows? I certainly like the Habs long-term success opportunities more than any of those teams. The only ones that really scare me are Minnesota and Colorado, but one of them is going to kick the shit out of the other one. So that's great.
Yeah, that's true. I will say, like, now that it's over, it's not sour grapes to say this. It's not fair that Philly's in the second round and that Dallas and Tampa Bay are home. It sucks. The quality of this round of this series is not what a normal first round is. I kept saying this to people over and over again. I'm like, this is not what a normal first round is supposed to be, man. They're supposed to be like, hey, we won 5-1. We're like, oh God, we got the other team pulled away and beat us 4-2 or grabbed an empty netter and it's 5-2. Like, and you can still have a 7-game series, but it's not supposed to be this. Like, the quality of this was just two teams punching each other back and forth, sometimes literally. Later on in the series is more figuratively on the ice, and it was just bang for bang, like one shot, one goal, back and forth, overtimes. It was trial by fire. Canadians passed it, and it's incredible. Yeah, I like how you brought up, it's all these young teams. Philly, Buffalo, Anaheim, and now the Habs. These are the 4 new guys on the block. There's others coming. We know San Jose's coming. That's the Western Conference problem, not ours.
Yep.
But this is kind of the changing of the guard. One of Buffalo or Montreal are going to be in a conference final. And last year, the Sabres hadn't made the playoffs for 1,400 years, and the Habs barely crawled in last year because the East was weak. And now someone's going to be in a conference final. And
we know what happens to Carolina when they hit the conference finals.
Sweep, yeah.
So either Buffalo or Montreal, welcome to the Stanley Cup final. Good luck to you. And that's the other thing too. The other like silver lining here: losing to Tampa would have been unacceptable from a fan's perspective. I would have just been in shambles. If the worst should happen and Buffalo should win this series, I'm rooting for Buffalo. I could never, ever even dream about rooting for the Lightning. Now, obviously, I hope to God that doesn't freaking happen because for the next 2 weeks, F the Buffalo Sabres, go Habs, go. All I'm saying is that's going to be a lot less bitter if the worst should happen.
Yeah. I just want to correct myself from earlier. It was Josh Anderson that tried to, I found my note, who tried to ice the puck and it got stopped by a Juraj Slavkovsky stick. Sorry,
you
Mike.
said it was Matheson?
Yeah. Odds are.
You had a 98% chance of being right.
Okay, so
he did do the puck over glass. He did have the puck over glass at the last minute. But you know what, man? That was just like Scramble City. Just get the puck out of the zone. There were like 6 seconds left. Just,
you know what? Like,
whatever.
And it negated one of my favorite theoretical strategies of like, once there's less than 10 seconds left in a playoff game that you're winning, just cross-check the shit out of someone. It doesn't matter. Okay, you'll take a penalty. Big whoop. If it kills 4 more seconds, good. I remember I saw that once in a 2007 playoff game between the Carolina Hurricanes and the New Jersey Devils. And I thought it was brilliant. It's a dirty ass play, but I thought it was brilliant. But then Matheson takes the penalty and I'm like, damn, we can't do that because if they scored, they would still have a power play in overtime. So, anywho, let's quickly shift to Buffalo. We're going to have a lot all off season to talk about Tampa and how much they suck. So, very weird playoff series. There's something along the lines that like Carolina can sweep Philly and it'll still be, I think there'll only have been 2 games played in the Habs Sabres series. The NHL chose not to really balance the schedule. So whoever comes out of the series, presuming Philly Carolina is going to be quick work. And I don't think anyone thinks it's going to be anything other than that. That team's going to like the Hurricanes are going to have like another 10, 12 days off, which I think is really stupid scheduling by the NHL. Nonetheless, they are trying to kill Cole Caulfield again. We're skipping a Saturday night again at the Bell Center again. Game 1 Wednesday, May 6th. Then we have Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday. So we are.
It's all skipping one day between. Okay. So they're trying to finally.
Yeah. Compress.
Get this thing going. Yeah.
Yeah. 7 games in 13 days. As far as we know, the first 3 games of the series are all at 7 p.m. We're at the stage of the playoffs where there's going to be no like funky 6 p.m., 6:30 starts. The NHL was actually quite good with that in the first round. And I think the Sportsnet will be able to keep the Habs at a reasonable time. I don't think we're going to get an afternoon game at any point. So, Brian, brand new team. Habs, I think they're actually kind of lucky to get 2 days off. They're going to fly back home probably tomorrow morning, reset. I'm sure the pre-scouting's already been done on Buffalo, and they got to go to Buffalo.
Yeah.
On the road again. Habs went 3-1 on the road, by the way. Home ice in the NHL playoffs continues to be completely overrated. The home team won 2 games in the Habs series. Just truly
2
terrible
games.
stuff.
Yep.
So what do we got? Like broadly, again, like we're still catching our breath from the end of Game 7, and now we need to start thinking about the Buffalo Sabres. Habs and Sabres played, I think, 4 games this year, and it was if I recall, they split those 4 games, and it's been a while, is my memory. I think these are all pre-Olympics, all these games, and Buffalo, you should expect them to be the favorites. They have a bit more rest. They have home ice for whatever that matters. Maybe they're a bit more rested than the Habs. Like, what do you think is going to happen in this series? Again, 30,000 feet. We'll know more after Game 1, but just for a quick taste of, like, we sadly had to go up against some guys we really enjoyed there. I hate to remind it that there are guys on Buffalo we really enjoy watching that we now have to sports hate for the next 2 weeks. So sorry, Rasmus Dahlin. But what are we thinking? We got Tage Thompson, Dahlin, Tuck, Josh Doan with his fun season that he had. I guess, Zach Benson, the revenge of Zach Benson for the Habs not taking him a couple years back. Guessing Alex Lyon is going to be the starter after the way that series ended.
You'd have to think so. Though they've gotten a little bit of a break. Maybe Pekka Luukkonen resets and they go back to him, but I don't know. That's it. It's a nice feeling, I guess, for them to have a guy to fall back on no matter what happens.
Yeah.
I feel a hell of a lot more comfortable just knowing that Dobes is the guy, and we never even needed to consider, like, hey, should we bring Fowler in? No, not even a thought. So that in net, I feel very comfortable for this series, despite the fact that they have immense firepower. Like, Tampa had really good firepower too, but Buffalo uses it differently. They use it more similar to the Canadiens in that they're willing to open things up and just let Tage Thompson do whatever the hell he wants. And his hat trick this season against the Canadiens has not been forgotten. So stick to him like glue. The matchups are going to be fascinating. I wonder if that's the Suzuki matchup. Not that Marty's going to have much say in it for games 1 and 2, because he's not going to go the John Cooper route of, like, put guys out and then immediately, as soon as the pucks drop, change them. I don't think he's going to get that.
No, we're not going to get that.
There's no reason to in this series. So, and he's also not nuts like that, like John Cooper is. So I'm very fascinated by the matchups. I think that's the thing that I'm most curious about, is who's utilized against who, and who do they try and use to contain a line that hasn't really been needed to be contained, or you could say has been successfully contained. By Cirelli. Like, who does the top line match up against for Buffalo?
Like, I was wondering if it's because it's not necessarily something you'd want, like, Dahlin and Samuelsson to, the way that Chernak and McDonough were there, just a lot. And I felt like your target is maybe not necessarily Suzuki, but it's Caulfield. If you can neutralize Caulfield, you change the dynamic of that line to the point that Tampa forced that line to be broken up. That Tampa won that matchup.
Yeah, that's true.
So and that's what I would do if I just watched 7 games as a scout for the Sabres. I'd be like, oh, if you're able to eliminate the effectiveness of Cole Caulfield getting into open space, Nick Suzuki might be able to get something on you, but might not. And it might force you, like, I think we'll see the first line back together properly. Now, the second line is where it's like, the most baffling coaching decision that Marty has made is taking apart, and it was kind of by necessity, I get it, but waiting so long to start tinkering with the second line till there were 6 games left in the season, and now it's back to where we were last year, and it's like an open odyssey, and we have no idea how that line's going to play. He's kept the third line together with Doc. He kind of brought back that fourth line with Danault, Evans, and Anderson today, although again, like, there was so much mixing and matching. I don't know, like, how much does Marty kind of go back to, like, we're at square one again. We want our OG plan to work. Someone has to go up against Tage Thompson. I don't know if that's the Danault line. That scares me a lot.
Yeah.
But like, there are different places where the Canadiens are going to be able to take advantage. The one thing that is going to be a new test, and this is why I kind of had the, like, Canadiens weren't necessarily bullied against Tampa. Buffalo's big, man. They're giants.
Their D's especially scary big.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily the most effective and fleet of foot big guys, I would say. Like I wouldn't be afraid of Logan Stanley in a corner or on a breakout, but so there's that element that you're going to have to contend with now. That wasn't there. I think Tampa is a better defensive team, but I think Buffalo's a bigger team and they're a faster team. So they're going to have to contend with that. And the defensemen on on Buffalo, Dahlin, of course, have a lot more like game-breaking availability. We didn't really see Darren Radish break out in the series.
No.
And part of that is credit
true.
to how the Habs played, but like that's something that, credit to the Habs on it, but I don't think you can do that to Rasmus Dahlin over a 7-game series.
No, I think you're right. That's a very great point, is that you're going to be contending with a completely different way of generating offense.
Yeah.
Than we saw in Tampa. Because you're right, Radish did some stuff, but he was not the driving force, the way Dahlin is absolutely one of the biggest driving forces of Buffalo's offense.
Yeah. Buffalo's power play, I wouldn't say not nearly as good. Tampa's power play, I don't know. Like they put the fear of God in me. It was way less effective in game 7. I will say it was probably the Habs' best game on the penalty kill, certain circumstances aside. But I thought for the most part that, and I know they gave up the goal, but I thought on the other 2 opportunities, it was, they had some moments, but Tampa's power play was not in great shape coming into the playoffs, and the Canadiens couldn't really do anything to stop it. And I wonder, special teams, you and I talked a lot about special teams before the Tampa series started, and we're like, man, this is going to go head to head. I think Tampa won the special teams battle. The Canadiens, I think, finished the series 2 for 21 on the power play after you get past the Slavkovsky overtime winner. Wasn't good. And I don't know if now they're going to change anything about it, but that's something else to keep in mind. Buffalo has a pretty good penalty kill, and just things to kind of keep in mind. I know I'm putting you on the spot here, and you are allowed to change it with me, and I will hold you to it via text later on. But right now, in this moment, 10 p.m., Sunday, May 3rd, about an hour after the Habs have eliminated the Tampa Bay Lightning, I am indeed going to ask for your series prediction with the Buffalo Sabres. I went first last time, so now the role is back to you, my friend. What do you got?
It felt a little bit anticlimactic that the Habs didn't win it at home, so I'm going to say Habs in 6.
Okay.
That's my heart. I went with my stupid-ass dumb boy brain for the first round and regretted it, obviously.
Yeah.
So screw that. Go Habs, go. Habs in 6. Win it at home.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. You picked Habs over the Capitals last year. The Capitals win. Then you picked Lightning over Habs. The Habs win. So I'm a bit worried about you picking the Habs on this one. But
once again, jinxes aren't real.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. Well, now we know why we're gonna lose. Okay. So I think it's Buffalo in 6. I wonder if game 1 is just a truck hitting the Habs and they're just not ready for it, fall down.
Offensive truck, physicality truck. What do you mean? Both?
Both. And I think I just have a very bad feeling about game 1 just being now again, they have the extra day off, which is not insignificant. If this was Tuesday night, I think it's like a 4-0 romp. And it's like we've all seen this, right? The team that comes out of the 7-game series is barely conscious in game 1. And oftentimes you just kind of get smacked around. I mean, we just saw what happened with Philly, and that only went 6. But so I reserve the right to change it after thinking about it, and you can hold me to it as well. But right now in this moment, I'm picking Buffalo in 6. What I will say for everyone listening, we are in the sweet spot. They've won a playoff round. This year is unequivocally an A+ success. If they make it one more round, we're all going to start to really believe. But while we're in the second round, it's the sweet spot where our in the moment expectations are not really changing. We're all like, yeah, man, won a playoff round. And like you mentioned, it's not a team you despise. Now, again, we might despise them in 12 days.
I think we'll despise them in 5 days, but
that's true. But it's not a team I would rank in our top 5, like F that team rankings.
Dude, they might be 30 first. There's 32 teams. They might be 31st just because of how sad I felt for their fan base for a decade.
Yeah. I mean,
so sure. I think you're exactly right. Look, they're in division, so they beat out a bunch of other
top
teams.
They're top 10, but they're at the fringes of that top 10.
Sure.
That's what it is.
Granted.
They're like Detroit. It's like, oh yeah, those guys. Like, that's it.
Even Detroit, I'm still pissed that in like 2015, something like that. We were supposed to face them, and then they couldn't close out the Lightning in game 5, 6, or 7, and then we ended up facing the Lightning, who knocked us out. So I hold a grudge for that. But
Yeah, fair point.
on the peripheries of, so Detroit wins.
Yeah, Detroit beats Buffalo. Okay, yeah, because you have Toronto, you have Boston, you have Ottawa, you certainly have Tampa, you definitely have Florida. Like,
I'm sure we could go down the list and they would legitimately be like 23rd for me.
Vegas, like we can get at least 9-10 deep, I think. Anyway, point is, like, we're kind of in that sweet spot right now of like
right,
that it's all gravy stuff. Like we're in that spot. However, if we get 3 wins in this one and we're hoping for that 4th one, people are going to start to believe. I'm just saying. Right now it's like, this is cool, this is fun, this is the up part of the ride. If they make it real, then we're hitting a different level. Then we sadly have to play the Hurricanes, but I think we'll cross that bridge if we get there.
I don't mind that, dude.
Okay.
Overrated, boring team.
Any final words on the first ever This Week in Habsland post-series win episode, our longest post-game episode? Any final thoughts on whatever has been one of, again, our most incoherent rambles for what is usually a pretty organized podcast? We have just...
Yeah, these last 7 episodes have just been seat of the pants improvisational messes, but they've been fun, at least for us. I hope you guys have enjoyed them. I want to know, I have a question for you. Are the 3 best players for the Montreal Canadiens in the Buffalo series the same as they were against Tampa? Is it Hutson, is it Suzuki, and is it Dobes?
Definitely Hutson and Suzuki. They've been the 2 best players all season. I don't see why it didn't change in the first round. I don't think it's going to change going forward. Goalies are weird, but Jakob Dobes has been so consistent. He could be their 3rd best guy. The real question is, does anybody jump in? It's less so about Dobes falling off, I think.
So I'm fascinated by the jumping in because you don't have the matchups anymore. You're not up against Cirelli. Like, does Caulfield finally figure his shit out and score like 7 goals in this series?
They won a playoff series with Cole Caulfield being a non-factor. That's what he was.
Isn't that astounding?
He scored 51. Your 51 goal scorer was a non-factor. Your number 2 defenseman played 18 minutes in the whole series.
Yes.
They won a series. So now, I don't know. I saw Slavkovsky getting better. I'll just say that. He didn't score any goals, but I saw the one guy with confidence entering the zone in Game 7 after Nick was Juraj Slavkovsky. And I think different team, different energy going up against. And let's see, he's going to fit this series like a glove, I think. It's going to fit him a lot better than the Tampa series did. So that'll be the guy to watch. But then also, like, Caden Gooley, by the way.
Oh, yeah, dude, yeah. This is our classic way too late in the episode to... Oh, yeah, Caden Gooley's amazing. Right. I forgot about him.
What a series. 2 assists. Yeah. I said he had the clutch gene. He has it.
Yes.
And now I know it's 2 funky assists, but whatever. It still counts. Yeah, he's that. When this dude is healthy, it's unreal. He can be your number 4 defenseman. And that's what he is, right? He's clearly, like, Hutson is relied upon the most. He doesn't necessarily play the most minutes all the time. It depends on game and situation, leading, penalty kills, all that stuff with Matheson. Matheson's the number 2. Carrier has essentially become more closer to the number 3 because he's paired with Matheson. Then you have Caden Gooley. Incredible series. He has the clutch gene. It's there. He needs to rein it in like 8%. He needs to just a little, like, he needs to get the talk that Arbor Jacki has been getting for 4 years. Marty needs to consolidate it into like a 7-minute speech before Game 1 against Buffalo of like, we love it. We love the physicality. Bring it down a notch. Watch the line, toe the line. And then the refereeing will be the other thing. Like, stupid refs. How does that change beginning of round 2?
Well, we know how it's going to change. Round 2, it's going to start the way round 1 did. There's going to be about 18,000 penalty minutes in games 1, 2, and maybe 3. And then something's going to happen and you're going to go, oh, that wasn't called. That was called in game 2. Why wasn't that called? Another one. Oh, geez. Okay. All right. I guess they've stopped calling. And then that's the way the rest of the series is going to go. And then probably the rest of the playoffs after that is going to be more similar to the later games as you did that giant analysis. Thank you for doing all that work. But likely there's going to be power plays to start.
Yep. It's going to be fun. Second round starts on Wednesday night in Buffalo. We hope the best for the team. We'll wrap it up there. Follow us on social media and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find your podcasts. Find us there. Listen to us there. And until next Monday. Oh, no, wait. Until next Wednesday. This Wednesday. Go Habs.